Welcome to another edition of Talking Elite Fitness. Sean Woodland and Tommy Marquez here with you. Lauren Khalil is en route back to Texas, back to Austin, actually, to do some stuff for the tactical games.
Didn't get enough Texas the first time.
No, she did not.
Decided, you know what? Make it a double.
Yes. So we are going to she's just leaving the guys by herself. This is probably it's going to go off the rails fast. We have Kevin Ogar from WheelWOD coming up here in just a second. But before we get to that, we want to tell you about a new sponsor. That is Strongest. So Strongest is an app, helps you attain a higher level of fitness and achieve more goals by reverse engineering the desired end state of each workout and delivering step-by-step training guidance to ensure you reach that end state. Got a QR code on the screen right now for people who are watching on YouTube. You can scan it now, and it'll take you to the webpage where you can then download the app. It's powered by a proprietary athletic intelligence engine. It helps you get out of your comfort zone. And there's so many cool features on this thing, and it's totally free. Go and download it.
There's
I know.
a ton.
So what the coolest thing that this app does, like let's say you're doing a benchmark, right? It has all the benchmarks in there. So if you're doing Fran, and we'll put a video up eventually on social media to show this, you can go in, you can say, hey, I want to do Fran. I want to split it up this way, and I want to hit this time, and it will tell you exactly what you need to do.
Yep.
What your time needs to be on each set, how much rest you can take, what the transition time is going to be, and it will help you hit that goal. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah. So Chad 1000X is coming up, and it has a set and rest breakdown for everything for your goal time. And I've already put that in and been kind of working that into my training a little bit. The best part too is that the more you upload your data, the better it learns.
It'll link to your Apple Watch too. Like
you
can, it's really cool. And Matthew Russell, who made this thing, is just like a normal workout geek who wanted to get an app to help people like him. It's like you're really into numbers and breaking things down and being strategic with workouts. You can go in there again. You can pick a benchmark. He has all different kind of training plans in there. So download it, check it out. It's strongest.app. That's a website you can go to, or you can just go to the App Store and you can check that out on Google Play or the Apple App Store and just download and mess with it.
It's a fantastic free training app.
It's really cool.
Movement, everything from movement demos to you can create collections of your favorite workouts. There's personalized programs, whether it's Zombie Fit, you're trying to get in a pump sesh, or you're focusing on certain elements. They can create personalized programs for you. It's all free too. Definitely check it out.
Strongest.app is the website, or just search for Strongest. It'll come up, and check it out. And I know that Matthew is adding a lot of cool stuff as we speak. Like this is not the finished product, but it's already freaking awesome.
It's already pretty sweet though.
Check it out.
The pacing guide's phenomenal.
Yes. Okay. So we'll leave that QR code up on the screen. Let's bring in our guest. Let's just jump right into it. He is the WheelWOD head of games and sports. He's our good friend, Kevin Ogar. How you doing, man?
What's up, guys? Good to see you.
So I'm going to start the same way I kind of started with Joe Linton and Bob Jennings from Legends. And that is, by now, everyone knows that WheelWOD is taking over the entirety of the game season for adaptive athletes. Mm-hmm. How did this conversation start with you being WheelWOD and CrossFit?
Honestly, the conversation kind of started 3 years ago. It was one of those things, like I got the chance to work on the back end of the games in 2021, and it was great, and I loved it. I just saw that there was going to be a hard avenue to grow there. Like getting all of the 8 divisions then into and on the floor at Madison was just going to be really rough. There wasn't a lot of time, and there wasn't a lot of space to do it right. Like we could do it and just jam it in there, but I don't know if it would have gotten done super well. We've done it as well as possible. But I thought there was a better way. I think that back then, like Castro mentioned, like maybe wanting to split off something. And I had the idea, and I had said it before I even heard him say something about like, hey, maybe we just split off into our own like masters or age groups and adaptive, like go into their own games. And, nothing really came of it then because we had some room to grow and some things to figure out. And slightly before the games this year, we were trying to figure out what to do for 2024. And I got a chance to come to Madison and chat with everyone on the games team and kind of like pitch my idea of WheelWOD, kind kind of taken over the season, running it for them. We have the bandwidth to do so. Like CrossFit has, the elite, the teams, age groups, adaptive, all these different divisions, and it's just kind of hard to do everything for everyone. And I just saw a chance for WheelWOD, who's been doing this for 11 years now, to kind of hop in and help out and make an avenue for growth for all these athletes. So that's what I pitched, and that's kind of what we're running with.
And you've been, involved behind the scenes, for WheelWOD and the games, and being involved with level 1 staff and across the board. But you mentioned that WheelWOD is, 11 years in, they're in their second decade of this. But they've been focused on, the adaptive community. For anyone that may be unfamiliar, what is kind of the full scope of everything that WheelWOD does that made them such a good fit to take over the games at this caliber?
I mean, just a slight history of it to kind of explain that whole thing is that Chris Stoutenberg, who's up in Canada, he owns CrossFit Collingwood with a couple other people. He started doing the open by himself and adapting the open back in 2011. Yeah, 2010, 2011. And there's really no one else. There may be like one or two other guys, a guy named Angel Gonzalez down in Texas, and Gustavo Marquez out in California, who were doing it then. And they were just adapting by themselves. And then I get hurt in 2014, and we kind of jump on the chance to start building that community of people doing the open with disabilities. We were afforded a chance from Wadapalooza to have an a whole adaptive division that Stouty took over and started programming and running. And we was kind of born out of that necessity to start giving programming tips and competition avenues for adaptive athletes everywhere. And we started with Wadapalooza, and we started building steam, and that turned into our own like WheelWOD games. So we started following the CrossFit game season. So we would have the WheelWOD open. So like CrossFit would announce the workouts on a Thursday. Saudi and I would take those workouts and adapt them on Thursday night, and then produce all the other stuff like scorecards and everything like that for Friday. And then we would put that out to the community, and then those winners would then go on to the WheelWOD games. And so that's kind of how it started. And since then, we now have 5 or 6 in-person competitions that we help run across the world. We just got done doing one in Barcelona, in Australia, Mexico. We have a few here in the States with like Sea Dogs and Wadapalooza. And we've been adapting these open workouts for a long time, and we do affiliate programming. So if anyone has like a large adaptive population for their gym, we actually offer programming for them.
I remember sitting in Eric Rose's house back in, I think in 2020.
Yeah, when we interviewed him.
When we got to interview him, and he said that he made the announcement there. He said, we're going to have an adaptive division of the games, and admitted that it wasn't going to be perfect, but they wanted to get it out there. Since they started that, what do you think they got right?
A lot of it, honestly, for what they were given. I mean, I know, Alex Zirkenbach was the guy running it for years for CrossFit, and he gets a lot of heat, but in all honesty, he was the guy who stepped up. He did the work. He worked his ass off for it. And I think he did a lot of things right. I think the scope that we were given, and like the bandwidth we were given, we did the best we could. I mean, we're not going to have all the divisions that WheelWOD has, because we only have to worry about adaptive. We don't have to worry about elite and teams and all that other kind of stuff. And so how they presented it, how they got people involved in it, the programming for it, I think a lot of it was done correctly. I think the biggest downfall is that they needed more space to grow. The adaptive community is a large population, and we always talk about adaptive training academy course for training adaptive athletes. Like almost 1/4 of the U.S. population has some form of disability. That's a large population of people that need space to grow into. And I just don't think there was, not because CrossFit didn't want to give us the space, it's just the space wasn't there for us to grow into. And so I think that's the biggest thing we got wrong, is that we needed to create more space, and that's what we're doing.
How do you do that? Beyond, I think the obvious answer to the uninitiated is like more divisions, maybe, or opening up the possibility for more divisions. That could even be the wrong answer. But I'm curious, what are the steps and things that you think could help shift the scope to growth a little bit more, and maybe fix some of the scope issues that CrossFit couldn't take on?
I think it's a partnership between the companies running these events and the athletes, really. On the company side, you can only have so many athletes at a competition, period. At a certain point, you only have so much time. You only have so many workouts. You only have so much floor space. Like it at a certain point, a competition hits its athlete limit. And so by allowing these businesses to take over, including WheelWOD, we have more space because we have less athletes. We don't have thousands of athletes to go through yet. We just have our singular divisions. Like we have adaptive, they have teens, they have masters. It's as much smaller. So right there, we have a space to grow into more athletes and give more opportunities, more eyes on. I hate to say it, but it's just the truth. Like if Michael Jordan's on the basketball court, it's going to be hard to get someone to watch someone else. And when you have
Sure.
the Tia Claire Toomeys and everyone else like out there just absolutely crushing it and doing a great job, it's hard to be like, hey, but also here are these adaptive athletes you've never heard of. You should go watch them too. Instead of having it on the same floor and having the audience distracted on one side or the other. Now you can simply focus on adaptive, and I'm really excited because CrossFit's going to do a great job. I know they are. We've already talked about a lot of it, of like just giving us the space to showcase these athletes. So that's one. That's our side, the business side. We're going to give these guys a competition to show off what they can do, and there's going to be space for them to grow, get sponsors' eyes on, get other people's eyes on, and so they can become household names like everyone else. On the athlete side, where this partnership happens between competitions and athletes, is that athletes just simply have to train and show up. When given, like they're being given a huge opportunity here to show why they deserve to be called games athletes, why they deserve to have that be their kind of occupation or what they do. And they need to show up and show out. And so when given the opportunity, they just need to sign up and compete.
You mentioned CrossFit, and this is a big issue with, or I don't want to say issue, unknown with the age groups, is the level of support that you will get from them throughout the season, be it financial, media, whatever it is. What are your expectations along those lines, or do you already know what that's going to look like?
I mean, we're still, dotting some T's and crossing some I's, as I like to say. But I mean, in all fairness, like they've been with us this entire conversation. They're super supportive. They don't want this to be a CrossFit Games and then like whoever else. This is a CrossFit Games and then CrossFit sport events to make it like the games. Like that's their big thing. They're not just kicking us to the side. This is full support here. There have been awesome setting things up. As far as like the exacts on that, we'll figure that out as it goes. But I am in no doubt that CrossFit is going to be super supportive of all this stuff, have already been super supportive of all this stuff and really helped. At least I can only speak for WheelWOD, but has really helped even this year. The 2023 WheelWOD Games has really helped us grow and given us some huge help when they don't have to. Like they're not under contract this year with us to do anything for WheelWOD Games, and that's coming up in a month. But they're doing it anyway because they actually and truly want to support these divisions, and the best way they see how and the best way they see forward is to allow us to have our own events.
That's awesome to hear. But if you had a kind of a magic wand, if you could at least, lock down, hey, here's some specific areas that I think the support would be best oriented to kind of guide it moving forward. Is there anything that stands out?
Yeah, I mean, and there's things we've talked about. Like obviously visibility is huge. Like WheelWOD has a website, but it's not as visited as much as CrossFit is. So like, promoting us there and helping promote different avenues for competition and really like getting behind things that we're doing. Like you guys already talked about like the Chad 1000X. I talked to them like, hey, I want to adapt Chad and give it to the adaptive community. Would you guys support that? They're like, hell yeah, let's support that. Let's get some eyes on you guys adapting Chad 1000X and put it out there. And we just put those adaptations out today for the community. And so it's a lot of stuff like that. Like that's what I want. These athletes are amazing. They do some really incredible things. I don't think they need much more than the opportunity to show that they're amazing athletes. And I think CrossFit's reach and bandwidth is really going to help with that. And that's what they're offering and more.
You're obviously really dialed in with the adaptive community, talk to athletes all the time. When this announcement was made, what were some of the things, whether it was questions, feedback, congratulations, what were the common things that you heard the most from the adaptive community?
It was mostly positive, man. I gotta be honest. I was, you always have the squeaky wheels in the community and people that you're like, you usually have a problem with everything. I'm watching you. I'm watching to see what you say. And so like, honestly, we had, even from people that I know in the past that were really upset with certain things or really positive about it, really pumped. Obviously they had questions about what it actually means, what it really looks like, which we'll find out over the year. And, but mostly I just heard people were excited. I mean, WheelWOD again has been around for 11 years. We've had 11 years of WheelWOD Games. We have that many years of championships and champions and followers, and they're really excited for us to take over and kind of showcase what we can do for the adaptive community.
Yeah.
One of the things that I consistently heard once the announcement was made was the idea and possibility for expansion. Right at the games, there's only 3 divisions that compete, and a handful more in the open. And I think anytime there's expansion, there's an opportunity for maybe some I don't want to say watershed moment, but to be exposed in a way that's meaningful to new athletes. You guys have obviously run multiple events with more divisions and more than what probably the average CrossFitter has seen through the games. Is there any sort of division that you're like, oh man, they're poised for kind of a big breakout or a big opportunity here now that they will get the representation?
I mean, yeah, I'm going to be a little biased here, but I think the seated division, you're going to see people in wheelchairs come out and do some stuff that is just mind-blowing ridiculous, and the reason I retired from competing, so I don't have to try to keep up with that stuff. But like, I think that the seated division is going to be great. I mean, we're going from 8 divisions in the open, 3 divisions in the games, to in 2024 for the WheelWOD games we will have 15 divisions. And there's going to be a lot of cool stuff to watch. But again, I'm biased. I think you're going to come out and watch people in wheelchairs hitting muscle ups and throwing around 150-pound snatches and just absolutely crushing it. I think the seated division is going to be really cool to watch. Not to take away from like the other thing you're going to see, and I guess this is cool to point out, is that we're now separating out. We had upper division and we had the lower division with CrossFit, which is great. But now we're going to have an upper division from above the elbow, or what we call 1 point of contact, or an upper division below the elbow, or a 2 point of contact. Well, upper 1 point, it's really hard to compete with guys who have 2 points of contact on a barbell. But we're going to see some guys who can do like single arm pull-ups, single arm muscle ups, 180, 225-pound clean and jerks with one single arm. Like, it's just a lot of cool stuff like that. Same thing with lower. I think you're going to watch like, Amy Bream's a great example. She's a AK, above knee athlete. And she was competing with people who have, impairments for sure, and disabilities, absolutely. But, 2 limbs to at least below the knee. And we're going to be able to program specifically for these athletes to really let them showcase. I think it's going to be really great to see her be able to go out there and show off her. And there's another athlete out here in Colorado named Lauren. She's Lauren Farhat. She's an absolute animal as well. She was at the games this year, and watching those 2 girls that go head to head with stuff that's specifically programmed for them, it's going to be next level.
Oh man,
that's crazy. What is the season going to look like?
All I can tell you about that is that it's going to look a lot like every other season we've had with CrossFit. It's not going to be separate. It's not going to be like, here's the adaptive season and here's the CrossFit game season. It's like, here's the CrossFit season, and we're working to make it as community based as possible, alongside everyone as much as possible, to make it really seem like this is one season. We're doing this together. We are not the adaptive CrossFit community and CrossFit community. We are the CrossFit community. As far as like details, as far as dates and all competitions go, like, we'll release that here hopefully shortly. I will tell you that there will be in-person opportunities for adaptive athletes to qualify for the game. So it's not just going to be online.
All right.
Awesome.
We're working on keeping some in-person opportunities through things potentially like WheelWOD or Sea Dogs or Oceania Throwdown down in Australia, or competitions like that really want to help the adaptive community and make those qualifiers as well. But those details aren't wholeheartedly solidified yet. So when we announce the rest of the season, you'll see it, I'm sure.
Yeah,
I'm sure someone who's angry will make a video about
it. Wait, that happens?
Oh man, that's funny.
I get told I deleted Instagram off my phone a while ago. So I only
smart man.
Yep.
Yeah.
But that actually touched on something that I was curious about. WheelWOD has been, partnering with events and running their own schedule alongside of what the game's been doing for a while. And, I guess my question was going to be, are there going to be additional competition resources that you guys will be able to maintain in addition to running the games to keep those competition opportunities high? And it sounds like yes, but is there any possible expansion or anything coming down the pipe that for 2024 that could, add to that?
I mean, we set ourselves up pretty well. I mean, if we're being perfectly honest, the whole goal of WheelWOD, the reason why Stouty started it, the reason I jumped on board wasn't so we would have this big adaptive, you know, fitness community. It was just to prove that there was a need for the adaptive space to be there, and have CrossFit support that, take it over, or have us take it over, or whatever it may be, but just like work alongside CrossFit. Me and Stouty have been doing this stuff for longer than a lot of people who are competing in the teams divisions are alive right now. Some of them even in the games division for me.
Yeah.
And our big thing was like not to take over anything. So a lot of the competitions we've partnered with so far are already CrossFit licensed events, and that's not exactly an accident. So hopefully, with them being licensed events and us partnering with CrossFit, it just leaves room for a lot of growth and a lot of not only growth for the athletes, but growth for the companies and that support these events. Like not only athlete growth, but company growth within the sport.
Mm-hmm. And hearing you talk about the delineations between athletes, even in some of the divisions that we saw at the games, that could be a little bit more specific and better support their limitations, but also highlight what they're capable of. Talking about the multiple points of contact and even those kind of splits. Honestly, I think there's probably some people hearing that now being like, oh, wow, there's a lot more to this than I even thought, and obviously that's our own ignorance. But with that in mind, are there some good resources that, in addition to WheelWOD and maybe some names we might be familiar with, that you think could help prep people for this, to better understand the adaptive divisions and probably also help them, in the instance that they have some of those athletes in their gym?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, as much as I don't like, as much as I love not having Instagram on my phone, but and as much as I don't like Instagram, there are some really great resources on there. I think the number one resource, if you really want to learn about all things training adaptive athletes, is the Adaptive Training Academy. They do online courses, they do in-person courses. It's a CrossFit preferred course. It's all about how to train adaptive athletes from all the divisions that you would see at the WheelWOD games. Um, Alec Zerkenbach, again, he's the guy who owns that, and I help him with those seminars. It is a phenomenal course. I think he's done a really great job of putting that together and getting the information out to the community and creating coaches who can help these athletes who want to pursue this sport. You can start looking at athletes specifically depending on the vision. If you're looking at like Casey Ackery, he's a great guy to look at. He's an upper 2-point guy, has not lost an event in like 3 years.
He's a savage.
Yeah, he is.
And then like people may have not seen compete yet, but probably have heard of, like Tom Miazga. Like that dude's an animal.
Yeah.
He's going to absolutely crush everyone.
Yeah.
He is the seated version of Casey, and I can't tell which one's nicer or which one's better looking, so I'm just going to let them duke it out.
Very true.
And then you have people in like, so Tom has hip function, so we have a seated with hip function and seated without hip function. There's athletes like Jed Snelson, Wasey Morrison, Brandon Mance, who are absolutely crushing the without hip division. I mean, I could keep going. Andrea Wilson, she's a seated athlete. She's amazing. Amy Bream, Lauren Farhat. Like there's a lot of athletes out there. I would get on WheelWOD's page and, we try to highlight these athletes and put their stuff out there and show the world what they can do. So hopping on our page and finding these athletes and following them will give you a good idea what can happen. I think Casey Ackery just posted a video of him doing handstand walks with 1.5 arms. So if you got an idea of what that means, that's what's happening. Victor Castro is another one who's, snatch, clean, and jerking with one arm, almost 200 pounds or over 200 pounds sometimes. And doing like double unders and all this other, it's handstands with one arm. It's a lot of crazy stuff.
Yeah.
So I would get out there and watch the athletes, go to the Adaptive Training Academy course. That's going to be your best bet to kind of learn about this world.
You've used the word growth a couple of times, and to me, there's a couple components of that. There's growing the awareness that this is actually something that adaptive athletes can do and get them into CrossFit affiliates. And then there's growing the sport side of it. So let's start with the sport side. What is, and maybe you've had experiences through WheelWOD growing that, but what is acceptable growth for WheelWOD as far as the adaptive divisions go for 2024, if that makes sense?
Yeah. I think the most we've had either in the CrossFit Open or the WheelWOD Open is around 1,200 athletes. I would love to see that cross over 2,000. Mm-hmm. I would love to see that this year. I think it's completely possible. One of the downsides of having WheelWOD and CrossFit run at the same time is that some athletes only wanted to run WheelWOD and some athletes only wanted to run CrossFit. And so there's a large swath of athletes that, when we come together now as a partnership, are going to compete against people they've never competed against. And we're truly going to find the fittest there. So I think my goal would be around 2,000 athletes minimum to compete in the Open this year for adaptive athletes. If you look at our historic growth, we had, I think, like 4 people who did the Open with us in 2014 with like me, Stouty, and Angel, and Zach, and all these other kind of people who were doing it with us. And I think by 2017 or 2018, we had a few hundred athletes who were doing it with us. And so I would love to see that growth be a lot higher than that. A few hundred athletes a year would be awesome to me. If we get to a point where we have 10,000 athletes in the Open, which I think is doable. I mean, there's enough of us out there and there's enough people out there. I think that's doable. I would love to see that eventually. And I mean, honestly, John, that kind of answers your second question of what that means for growth as far as like affiliates. I love the sport. I think it's awesome. I am old school CrossFit, meaning that I would rather see affiliates grow. Like, I work with affiliates every day. I've talked to well over 1,000 affiliates over the last 6 months to a year, working for my role for CrossFit. And I think growth there is where it's really necessary. And one of the things I think is really cool about the adaptive side of the sport is like, you watch these, the individual athletes crush it and people are like, oh yeah, that looks cool. I'm going to give it a shot. Maybe I'll get in shape. The adaptive division, it's completely different. It's no longer, hey, I'm just going to get in shape. They're like, oh, I have the same disability. I didn't know that was physically possible for me. And that would make my life so much easier if I could learn how to do that, or if I could get that kind of fitness. And so we're now just not talking about people who are coming in and getting fit, to like improve their lives. And that's great. And I love that. It's my favorite. Secondary too, someone seeing that and go, oh, I didn't know I was that physically capable. I didn't know I could be that independent with my disability. I'm going to go into a CrossFit gym and get this started. And I think that's where our big growth comes from, is that, let's grow the games. Let's make it absolutely amazing. But back to the mission of CrossFit is not to make the greatest sport in the world. The mission of CrossFit is to, prevent sickness and promote health and make us like a better world, honestly. And I see you using the adaptive CrossFit space as a way to show so many people that CrossFit's not only safe, it's effective, it's for anyone that wants it to be for them. And whether you have a disability, an injury, elderly, like whatever it may be, like I think with masters teens and across masters teens and adaptive, we're really showcasing the breadth of what CrossFit can actually help with.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier the athletes that would only do certain ones versus the other. And, has that been a longstanding thing that you guys have had to work through? Because I kind of see it almost as like we put a lot of things through the filter of pro wrestling, like competing factions, if you will, I don't know if that has been the reality or if it's something that you guys are constantly working against, but
it's never been a competition. It's never been like, oh, let's try to build these people from CrossFit. And CrossFit's never been like, oh, let's try to crush WheelWOD. I mean, because honestly, if CrossFit wanted to crush us, they could have. It wouldn't have been hard. We're not that big of a company. There's 5 of us, 6 of us, and so they could have. It was never that. It was that, resources are finite in all these spaces. We used to do the CrossFit, the WheelWOD Open and everything alongside of CrossFit until CrossFit had their own adaptive Open. And then we moved ours to a few weeks a month out. So we tried really hard not to compete with that. But some people were WheelWOD loyalists and they just wanted to do WheelWOD. And then other people were CrossFit loyalists and wanted, all that came with that. And that's fine. No one from WheelWOD and no one from CrossFit was ever like, screw them. We're crushing them. They suck. You suck. Anything like that. It was just, it was like, you have multiple podcasts. Some people like to listen to this one, some like to listen to that one. And now that we're partnering together, people don't have to choose.
Yeah, that's cool. I would have liked to see you cut a few promos though. I think you'd be good at it.
I would have loved it. I think I could have been a really good heel. I think I would have been really good at it.
I think you would have been too.
I still think they take me out there and dump me out of my chair a few times, and it really brings in some viewers.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man. Okay. Tommy mentioned this a little bit as far as like the courses that are out there and making sure that that people are prepared if an adaptive athlete were to walk in the gym. And I remember we talked to Logan Aldridge one time, and he said, if you're injured, you're adaptive. And that flipped a switch for me, because that's when I realized, okay, the courses about how to deal with adaptive athletes have so much utility to them. So other than making sure that you're prepared, just having the knowledge to deal with an adaptive athlete in your gym, what can CrossFit boxes do better when it comes to being a more welcoming spot for adaptive competitors or just people who want to get in shape?
I think that I won't say they have to necessarily do anything better per se, like get good systems involved, capture the lead of an adaptive athlete, keep them, involved in your gym, keep talking to them. Same thing you do with anything else. I think the big deterrent is the fear that some affiliate owners have. And like, I'm not blaming them for this. Like, it's not anything I knew when I was training people back in the early 2000s. If someone in a wheelchair would have rolled in, I would have been, shocked at first and not really knowing what was going on. But I think the big thing is like, just treat them like anyone else that walks in through the door, understand and talk to them and ask them questions like you would anyone else. Get ready for some really weird answers. And like, I kind of liken it to this. And like, if you have a pregnant woman walk into your gym for the first time, it's kind of scary.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to mess anything up. You don't want to cause problems.
Yeah.
What do most coaches? The difference is like when someone sees a pregnant woman walk into their gym, their first instinct in most CrossFit gyms is to go research how to train someone who's pregnant. That's their first, like, that's like, hey, let's take it slow. Let's move. I'm going to ask you questions, make sure you're feeling good, but let me go like, take the birth fit course or do this course or, learn these things. A lot of times when you have adaptive athletes come in, it's that same shock. But a lot of coaches tell themselves, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a personal, physical therapist.
Yeah.
I don't want to hurt this person. And so they have this little bit of a hands-off, standoffish. I'm not going to push this person. I'm going to just leave them be comfortable. Well, as we know from CrossFit, staying comfortable is the best way to make things not progress anywhere.
Right.
It's the absolute, the death of progression. And so I think the big thing would be for a lot of these coaches to just take the same mindset, go and look up how to train adaptive athletes, take the course, watch a video, and really just dig into what that means. And honestly, that's what I see from a lot of these coaches. I know a lot of adaptive programs from across the country that started with someone coming in and going like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, but I guess I'll try. There's one up in Wisconsin by Jason, owns it with Tom Yazga, and it started from them just being like, I don't know, but let's give it a shot.
Yeah, it's that same like little almost like spark right there. Like, well, I don't know, let's try it, let's investigate it, let's learn about it. I mean, that is the kind of the birth of so many good things within the community on a regular basis. So it makes sense that in that same curiosity and the same willingness to like, make from a trainer standpoint to make yourself uncomfortable and lean into that is ultimately what yields results on that front as well.
And I always put it like this, like with someone with a surgery, an injury, or a pregnancy, like, yeah, I could actually mess that up. Like, I could make their injury worse. I could mess up their surgery. I can cause problems within a pregnancy. But I can tell you this, with adaptive athletes, something has already tried to aggressively kill them and fail. Like, it failed.
Yeah.
Otherwise they wouldn't be there. And I doubt overhead presses, cleans, and pull-ups is really going to take them over the edge.
Yeah. It's a good point. And obviously, the 2024 season, is a few months away from officially kind of kicking over. But what else is on the horizon for WheelWOD as far as like people, learning about you and wanting to get more involved if they can?
Well, we do have the WheelWOD games coming up. It's going to be November 30th through December 4th. We are going to live stream the whole thing. So people can watch and kind of get a good idea of what it's going to look like in 2024. But 2024 with the support of CrossFit, it's going to be much bigger than what you're going to see this year in 2023, but it's going to be awesome. We have over 100 adaptive athletes coming out to compete and throw down in this year's 2023 WheelWOD games. So that's a big one. We have Wadapalooza coming up in January. That's another one that we partner with Wadapalooza, and they're very supportive this year. They're kind of giving us a lot of free reign and a lot of space to kind of create the adaptive competition we want down there. So that one's going to be huge. That one's going to be great. And then I would just tell people to look forward to the Open. It's going to be programmed for them. It's going to be the most unique Open that we've ever had in the history of CrossFit, in my opinion. I think it's going to be the best Open we've ever had because we're going to see so much more space for people to really showcase what they can do. And I would just say, if people are on the fence about like what's happening within like the age groups, masters, teens, adaptive, all that kind of stuff, support it this year. Give us a chance, whether it be WheelWOD or those other competitions as well. Give us a chance to show you that this is the right move and this is going to be awesome. And we make this awesome by you guys supporting us, giving us a chance to show you that it's going to be awesome, and then we'll build it together. I think it's going to be really cool.
Okay.
We've had debates here internally, and then we talked to Bob and Joe from Legends about this too. But do you have a preference on when the adaptive CrossFit games fall on the schedule, whether it's like before the CrossFit games or after? And if so, why is that?
I think it should be after. If you're asking me personally, like I haven't, not a question I haven't asked yet. And I can't speak for all of WheelWOD, but I think it should be after. Really let the individuals and teams highlight what CrossFit can do, get some new people hooked. And this is selfish. I'll be honest about it. Let the individuals and teams really hook people in and be like, oh man, this is really cool. Let them catch the fever, drink the Kool-Aid, and like, oh, there's more of this I can watch. And I don't have to wait that long. I could be a couple weeks after, a month after, whatever it may be. Like I can, get my next fix really quickly. I think that's the best way to do it. I think that brings more eyes onto the adaptive and age groups. And I think that allows us to use the platform that individual and team has to help these other divisions grow. I also think in a community stance, like, I mean, you guys have been to the games as much, if not more than I have. And it's like a family reunion every single time.
Yeah.
You get to see people you haven't seen in forever. And like one of the biggest downfalls is that was only once a year to me. I only get to see like Sean, and me and you can talk about comic books and Star Wars like once a year.
Mm-hmm.
And like I only get to hit on Tommy once a year, it's not enough.
I'm just a piece of meat to you.
Yeah. I mean, a good looking piece of meat.
I'll take it.
Man,
I'll
come
take
on.
it.
I'm the nerd.
and-
You're the good looking one.
And so like I think having these events like after everyone's kind of spun up and they get a little taste of that community, a little taste of the games, having these events afterwards really helps these divisions that should grow and helps us, satisfies people's appetite for community. Because what happens if someone can't make it to the game? Something happens. That's cool. Come to the WheelWOD games, and you'll get to see a lot of the same people you would see at the games. And I think that's just the way it should be.
Do you guys have a location yet?
Sean, asking these questions, knowing that I can't answer.
I gotta ask. I'm just okay.
Just slide it in there. We are currently looking for this year. We'll be in Raleigh, North Carolina. So if anyone's in the Raleigh, North Carolina area and wants to come, spectators are always welcome. It's going to be really cool in person. As far as the 2024, we are looking for venues that will house what we think this is going to grow into and allow us to stay somewhere for a couple of years. But as of right now, we do not have a solidified date and or location for the 2024 WheelWOD games, which makes sense because we haven't even had the 2023 ones yet.
Right. Well, okay. So looking ahead to 2024, and you have a small business, and you guys are like 6 people trying to throw all this together. Mm-hmm. What changes for you now as far as your day-to-day operations as you barrel into 2024 and your first time running games?
Yeah, for me personally, nothing. Actually, it makes my life a little easier because I was doing this job for WheelWOD and for CrossFit for the last 3 years. Mm-hmm. And so I was kind of splitting my time on both. So now I get to focus on one avenue. And also, I don't do most of the work. I just get most of the credit. So like it makes the same super easy. No, we have a really great team of people who are working hard behind the scenes, who are now taking into like, as you guys know from like when the games first started, is like anyone that could pitch in just pitches in and does what they can.
Yeah.
And there's no true roles. And so now over the last 2 years, and especially going into 2024, we've solidified those roles, giving people an opportunity to focus on what they've really excelled in, and help build from there. We've had some people hop on board and be like, hey, this is awesome. I love this. I just want to help. I got one of them, Amy West and Hicks from the medical staff of
Oh,
the games
yeah.
have always been huge supporters of ours. And Hicks is on board this year, and he's just really psyched to do that. And that's another guy that kind of hops in and helps us take a role. So we've had, like you've seen the community, like we've had the community just reach out and go like, hey, this is awesome. I want to help. Let me in. I don't need anything for it. This is just the right thing to do. And that's one of the things I love about the CrossFit community is I hear all the time, I want to help. This is just the right thing to do. I'll figure out everything else later.
Totally.
And then final question I have for you, so I know you got a busy day, is, and I think you've probably mentioned this throughout the interview, but we kind of coalesce it into one answer. But what excites you the most about this opportunity?
Excuse me. I think the thing that excites me the most is the community growth. The fact that we're going to be able to really get eyes on and showcase the adaptive athletes, showing the world what they can do, showing the disabled world that they can become adaptive athletes, and really helping drive growth to affiliates. I think this move is the best thing that the games could do for affiliate owners, because now it's not just watch these individual elites and the individual or the team elites like just crush it and do crazy things that no human should be physically capable of, but also watch these people with disabilities, or watch these individuals that are 70, 60, 70 years old, or these teens who are 14, 15 years old, do things that are physically, like, this is stuff that's physically possible. And I think being able to showcase them individually and let affiliate owners choose which one they want to showcase in their gym will help drive growth to their gym and build the community they want. Not every gym needs to be an adaptive gym. And I don't think it'd be good for the community. And not every gym needs to be a master's gym. Not every gym needs to be a teens gym. It's just, build the community you want by showcasing the one you want, and allow the community around you, not just your CrossFit community, but the overall city that you live in, to experience what you can offer them. I think that's what excites me the most, is that we're going to see a big jump in the amount of people who actually do CrossFit from this decision.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's right.
I got one more question too. I think you can answer it. What are you benching these days?
My top number right now for a touch and go is 440.
Get out of here. Seriously?
Yeah, I saw that 200 kilos floating around last year.
Yeah. And then we just did a competition, and I had, let me do the conversion, an almost near miss, just a technical miss at like 421. So like bench with a pause.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You still patrolling the blue line for your sled hockey team?
I am a horrible forward and a great defenseman. I'm not one to give the puck to, but I'm great at getting in the way and running into people. That's my jam.
Hell
That's cool, man. Yeah, and people play sled hockey, man. I don't know how you guys do it. Like, I want to give that a try, just because it looks just insane.
I have an extra. You can actually probably see it in the background. I have an extra sled sitting right there.
All right, we need to figure out how to make this happen.
Woo,
like, I really want to give this a try. So
we have sled hockey events all the time. You're more than welcome to come to any of them. I will, we'll outfit you, and then you can skate around the ice. I'm trying to get I'm lucky enough that where I play right now also has a lot of the USA Paralympic team players that are around. So I've gotten to play with them once or twice, and those guys are skating backwards in a sled and doing things that again aren't physically possible.
Man.
And I'm trying to get those guys to come in and start CrossFitting. We have probably about 4 or 5 from the Colorado Avalanche team that I play for, who now come to my gym and work out and want to get bigger and stronger and fitter for hockey. And so I'm trying to get the rest of them to come in.
That's
and then convince them to compete in the sport.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think honestly too, like, since there are so many, there's wheelchair basketball and there's sled hockey, stuff like that. Like, it just seems like a natural fit.
Yeah.
The way to
a lot of gyms with adaptive programs start with finding a wheelchair basketball or wheelchair rugby team and having them come in. So cool. I just chose to pick a sport that's a lot cooler. So.
No pun intended.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, Kevin, listen, man, thank you so much for doing this, and best of luck. I know that the adaptive community has got to feel good about where this is going, knowing that you guys are at the helm. So
I really hope so. And again, athletes just need to show up, and we'll try to do the rest.
Yeah. All right, that's going to do it for today, guys. Thank you so much. Make sure you check out strongest.app. Download that app. It is a lot of fun to mess with, and there's a lot more cool features coming. You can download it on the on Google Play, App Store. Just go strongest.app on your computer or on your phone. It'll take you right there. So
over 1,000 workouts preloaded in, complete with movement demos, everything.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Fantastic stuff. Check it out. Kevin, once again, man, thanks a lot. For
Thank
Kevin
you guys.
Ogar,
Appreciate it.
Tommy Marquez, I'm Sean Woodland. Take care of each other, be better, and we'll talk to you guys next time.